Imagine someone asking you a simple question: how are you? And without thinking, you say, I'm good, even though you're not. Or maybe someone asks what you thought about something: a movie, a gift, a haircut, and instead of saying what you really think, you give the safer answer, not because you're trying to steal something, not because you're avoiding punishment, not because telling the truth would put you in danger. You just lie. And that's strange when you think about it. If lying is supposed to help us gain something or avoid something, why do we sometimes lie when we don't seem to need to? The answer begins with a simple idea. Sometimes the truth isn't dangerous. But what the truth might do to us, or to a relationship, feels uncomfortable. Human beings don't just exchange information. We constantly manage social situations. Think about how differently you speak to your best friend, your boss, a stranger, a child. The words may change, your tone changes. Even the parts of yourself you reveal can change. This doesn't automatically mean you're being dishonest. Social interaction requires flexibility. But sometimes that flexibility crosses the line into deception. You may hide what you really think because you don't want to hurt someone. You may exaggerate an achievement because you want to make a better impression. You may invent an excuse because saying, I just don't want to go, feels socially risky. Research on dishonesty suggests that social image can be one important motivation. People don't only care about whether they see themselves as good, they can also care about how they appear to other people. And suddenly, the lie makes more sense. You're not always protecting money. Sometimes you're protecting your reputation, your relationships, your identity, or simply a peaceful conversation. Now here's where things become more interesting. Most people don't want to think of themselves as dishonest. We like to believe I'm a good person, I'm honest, I have principles. But human behavior doesn't always perfectly match that image. So what happens when we want something, but getting it honestly feels uncomfortable? Sometimes the mind finds a justification. It's only a small lie. Everyone does this. Nobody will get hurt. They don't deserve the full truth. These kinds of explanations can make a questionable action feel easier to accept. Research on dishonesty has identified several common forms of justification that can allow people to view themselves as ethical while behaving dishonestly. For example, minimizing harm or blaming the situation. Imagine your mind as a courtroom. One part says, you shouldn't do this. Another part says, yes, but technically. And suddenly, you're no longer a liar in your own story. You're someone who had a reason. Suppose your friend has spent hours preparing something for you. A meal, a drawing, a surprise. And honestly, you don't like it, but you can see how much effort they put into it. So you say, I love it. Was that lie selfish? Maybe not. Some lies are intended to protect another person's feelings or maintain a social relationship. Research on deception recognizes that lying can serve both self-interested and other-oriented purposes. But here's the important point. That doesn't mean every kind lie is automatically good. Sometimes avoiding a small discomfort can create a much bigger problem later. If your friend keeps doing something because you keep pretending you like it, your lie has changed the information they need to make decisions. So, honesty isn't simply about saying every thought that enters your mind. And kindness isn't simply about hiding the truth. The difficult part is learning how to be both honest and considerate. Here's the surprising part. A lie can solve an immediate problem while creating a different problem inside you. Imagine you're late for work. Instead of saying, I overslept, you say, there was a problem with my car. The conversation ends. For a moment, you feel relieved. Problem solved. Except now you have to remember what you said. And if someone asks another question, you may need another answer. The original lie was small, but maintaining it requires more work. And beyond the practical problem, research has found that lying can carry emotional and self-evaluative costs. In a series of studies, participants who lied reported lower self-esteem and more negative effect than when they told the truth. That doesn't mean every lie produces the same reaction. Context matters. The reason matters. The person matters. But the important idea is this: the brain isn't always choosing between a completely painless lie and a painful truth. Sometimes the lie simply moves the discomfort somewhere else. So what can you actually do? The goal isn't to become brutally honest. You don't need to tell every stranger exactly what you think about their appearance. You don't need to turn honesty into cruelty. Instead, start with a question. What am I trying to protect right now? Yourself? Someone else's feelings? Your reputation? Or are you simply trying to escape an uncomfortable moment? That question creates a small gap between the impulse and the response. And inside that gap, you have options. Instead of, I loved the movie, you could say, it wasn't really my type, but I liked some parts. Instead of inventing an excuse, you might say, I can't make it tonight. You don't always owe people every detail. Honesty doesn't mean unlimited disclosure. But it does mean being aware of when you're changing reality to make the moment easier. And sometimes the best strategy is to replace a direct lie with a truthful boundary. Not, I'm sick, but I need some time to myself tonight. Not, your idea is terrible, but I'm not sure it's working for me yet. Truth doesn't have to be brutal. It can be precise. Think again about that simple question. How are you? And your automatic answer, I'm fine. Maybe sometimes that's harmless social shorthand, but other times it reveals something deeper. Maybe you don't want to worry someone. Maybe you don't know how to explain what you're feeling. Maybe telling the truth would make the conversation more complicated. And that's the real lesson. We don't always lie because we love deception. Sometimes we lie because the truth creates a situation we're not sure how to handle. A difficult conversation, a possible rejection, an uncomfortable emotion, a threat to the image we want others and ourselves to see. But understanding that motive gives us another choice. Instead of asking, why am I such a liar? Ask, what does the truth feel like it might cost me right now? Because sometimes the first step toward being more honest isn't forcing yourself to say everything. It's understanding what you're trying so hard to protect. And once you understand that, you may discover that you don't always need the lie after all. If you learned something, subscribe to Mindora for more fascinating insights into psychology, the brain, and human behavior. And if you have any question, ask in the comments section.